Welcome back to TechNet Radio. In today's episode, we're joined by Celia Morant-Kraus and Gayle from Microsoft's HR IT department. Listen in as they discuss the Windows Azure platform and how it helps capacity management and service level agreements, as well as how it provides a flawless computing experience for employees. Gayle, the mic is yours.
Joining us for how Microsoft IT is integrating operations with the cloud. I'm Gayle, and I'm the General Manager for HR and Legal Solutions Delivery within Microsoft IT. We're joined today by Celia Morant-Kraus. Celia, can you tell us more about your role?
Thanks for joining me here, Gayle, and sure. So I'm Operations and Service Management for HR IT. I've got 15 years with the company and all of that time in IT. I have a strong infrastructure background and an application care and feeding background.
So in the Solution Delivery Organization, my team plans and delivers the HR/IT project portfolio. We're going to focus on one project in particular, our performance management system moving to the cloud. Specifically, this year we're moving our application front end to Azure, but leaving our database back on premise. So that means that every employee in Microsoft will be doing their self-assessment documents and their performance reviews in the cloud this year. Like many of you, we do big things like this move, and we deliver business value and requirements to the HR business. This is just one of many projects we'll be delivering for HR this year.
So Gayle, you've been leading IT here with this proactive work. How do you think about this and the value for IT and for Microsoft?
Well, performance management was a great choice to be the first to realize this promise. Our business model is really perfect for the cloud. We're the true elastic use case. Some months our users are just looking at their commitments, maybe to use them in a one-on-one with their managers. But in other months, particularly during the annual review cycle, we have high usage where people are completing self-assessments and composing new commitments. During the annual review and our mid-year career discussions, we have as many as 15,000 employees who use the site and the tools every single day. So there could be direct business value here as well as a first and best story. As we spin up instances to accommodate, we've got a great opportunity to improve the user experience. In regard to ROI, our cost models are going to change. We're really looking forward to understanding how this is going to change the way we financially plan for operational costs. That's going to be a great deliverable and a great learning for us, and we'd like to bring it back to this forum later. So are you ready, Celia?
Well, I'm the ops guy, so I have to be ready. I'm all in, but it's my job to really prepare and be ready to provide employees with a flawless experience regardless of the change that we make in the environment. 80,000 employees will be using it post-migration. You know, I think you as customers and leaders are really going to search out cautious operational folks like myself and solution leaders like yourself, Gayle, to really gauge the impact to the operations teams. They'll want the person that might be a little bit scared to say it's okay, to say that we have a plan and that we feel comfortable before the execs will then go back to their teams and say, okay, it's ready, we're ready to recognize the value here.
Can you describe your support model for us, and how are you set up operationally?
Sure. We're really set up like most IT shops. We're really about proactive planning now, and that's our focus rather than rebooting servers like we used to. Some of the background to share as well as how we're set up is that we have a lot of support competencies that are outsourced like you do, and even distributed around the globe. We have deep readiness processes before our busiest times. A new core competency for most operational teams is this readiness in the last few years, so that I'm sure that you have the same. We're very mature in our operational processes now. Lost to touch in documentation when we make a change like this. We have closer relationships than ever with our engineering teams and find them very supportive. They design now with the ease of operations for us, availability in mind, and they're thinking about how to support us every step of the way.
So how are you going to be ready? This is a strategic investment for Microsoft, as you well know.
Yeah, it is. We've divided the work into some big bucket work streams. We want to be able to provide a predictable experience, so the OLA SLAs will have to be mapped, perhaps changed. And from a process perspective, all managers want that really predictable experience for their customers. The knock-to-knock process will lie within that, and that's how we'll do our agreements with our peer teams in prioritization, and we'll predict the response that we're going to get in our availability work. We can scale really correctly for the first time now here, and we'll work back and forth with these teams and templates. The technical info are usually in there, and when you have distributed work groups, you need to be able to have a process that will work across. We have escalation processes now, and of course those will become a lot more important, and we'll rely on those a lot more. We'll want to leverage there what's already with Azure and not build it again. There's a ton you're getting from Azure out of the box with System Center and things like that. And monitoring events will be in consoles that you're used to seeing, so we don't have to go redo that again. I think the predictability in our capacity management is also a big area. I think when you have a way that you know that you can spin up instances as you need and then spin them back down with logic and control, we start to feel more comfortable. We'll do both of those flawlessly, I promise, and in a process of planning.
So as you look into the future here, for your team, what are they most excited about?
They're really excited about this. It's really fun to be on this cutting edge. We have a team of very experienced operational folks, and they love being close to the technology, and this really allows for that. There's real appeal there. The service ops people who manage it all up as a service owner, they're really excited about the freedom and the agility they can get from out of the granular KPIs. And the version control pieces are really fantastic. I can really focus on the service enrichment programs about making the service better for the customer and for you, Gayle, rather than working about patch management and things like that. That's all automated now in the Azure environment. I think less teams with access to the environment is something that you'll want to hear about as well. If you think about, there's a lot of unmanaged change opportunities that are now minimized as the environment's a lot more automated and integrated into Azure.
So I'm really glad to hear we're going to get control over that unmanaged change. What will our audience be most excited about?
Yeah.
What are those IT operations leaders going to want to know about this?
Yeah, I think this really is truly, as you get into the details of this, when you're there, it really does feel as though this is the future of all IT, all up. It really is. I think that the visionary leaders that will see and look at this and figure out the agility and the cost modeling and those things will go and look for people like me embedded in the organization to find out about some of the items that they should really care about. And I can list those for you here. So if you think about data capacity, data center capacity, most of that's not core competency to most companies, and that takes up a lot of energy. There's maybe 20 companies that I can think of where this is a core to their business focus. It is for Microsoft, but not my group. So I can get my team back to their core work and being closer to the relevance for the business and strategic value.
So Celia, how do you leverage the value all up without creating more work for operations?
Yeah, it can be counterintuitive just a bit. When you have changes like this, you want to get into the details. Most IT ops folks like you are control-oriented and in those details a lot. This allows you to focus on a new set of details, service details that really create value rather than the old overhead pieces that we had to manage. We become a lot closer to you and to the business, and I can focus again on service enrichment pieces. I can improve my communications. I can really do things that really value in service improvement plans rather than the noise of operational overhead.
So how do you see this helping us when it comes to planning and budgeting?
Yeah, there's a real the ease of planning here in operations, really for the first time. Everybody knows that the costs are really low. That's nothing new. That's talked about in all the industry regs. In planning, there's also a huge value here around the simplicity, though. I don't have to deal with CapEx and OpEx back and forth. It's just year over year, run simplified in OpEx. You can de-stress about stuff out of your direct control. And add to that, I love the change freeze button that you can select. So during my busiest times, I can say I don't want any patching or any changes to the environment. I think that's really huge, especially for legacy applications that don't tolerate it very well.
So are you going to give me access to that change freeze button?
No, I don't think so yet.
What do you really want IT professionals to be left with here?
Sure.
And what should they think about as we near the end of our time together?
You will have improved value for you and your teams. They can get closer to the business, as I mentioned, and be more involved in the design with their engineering groups, which is a real joy for people.
Thanks so much, Celia. It's much appreciated today. This is a great time to be in IT and on the cutting edge of technology. For additional technical information, please visit our IT Showcase site. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.